You go alone, right? So these kids will get laid behind you in your shadow.
The past governor's inspection.
Good.
I'm very demanding.
Yeah,
very demanding.
It's a great place. It's nice. And I think what's the
right?
place?
Yeah. Well, Chief here is doing it.
Well, I was just talking to you, obviously.
Legislature. I think we're actually going to move towards doing a couple quick media questions. Right there, maybe, but you're still shooting in all places.
Anything in all.
Tour of the sleep center here in Moses Lake, and it's inspiring because people have been so innovative here in Moses Lake to give people a chance to get out of the elements, have the first step to full-time housing, the first step to access to behavioral health services, vocational services, to get back on the road. And it's just really great to see the chance for people to get their lives back where they'd like it to be. And what they explained to me is that this is a place where people who do want to see change in their life, this is a place to start that process. And it's been very successful. It's been very innovative in how these units were built with a lot of volunteer labor. This is the cleanest place I've ever seen outside of a surgical suite in the state of Washington. And it's interesting, they told me that's important for the dignity and respect and responsibility of the guests. And that's actually an asset. And one of the coolest things I heard is that when you talk to the guests at this facility, they say they like it because it has some sense of responsibility. It gives them a feeling of ownership and self-respect. And that's one of the reasons, it's one of the secret sauce of success. But we know we have a homelessness crisis in the state of Washington. And one of the reasons I came to Moses Lake is to make sure people understand it's not just Seattle. This is a statewide issue of homelessness. We've got to address it from a statewide perspective. And we need to adopt some of the innovative strategies like we see at the Sleep Center in Moses Lake. So it's been a very inspirational tour, and I want to take some of the lessons we've learned here statewide. We are not done statewide. The state legislature, at my request, put another about $120 million at the end of last session. But frankly, we've got more work to do, because on a statewide basis, we know we've got to have a better solution to the homelessness crisis that we have. Both because we care and because we know it's good for the whole community. So we got more work to do. Mr. Mayor, you want to add anything to that?
I'd just like to say that this has been a joint effort from a number of organizations, and I'd like to really say how much Hope Source has been a part of this. They really are the lead organization on this. The city, of course, instigated it and developed a contractual relationship with Hope Source to get this going. But they're the ones who run this day to day and make it the great organization that it is.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor, for your leadership. Want to say something? Come on up here so I can hear you.
Hi, I'm Teresa with the Health District, and when the city contacted us about creating this facility, Allison, our city manager, contacted me saying, we want to open up a sleep center with little buildings. And this was a time when COVID was entering our community. We were deeply concerned about where we were going to isolate sick individuals, and how do we help our homeless through the COVID pandemic in a place where they can go when they might not have motel space for them. Fortunately, we haven't had any outbreaks at this facility because this truly is a great model for our COVID response, and it's something that we get to keep here in our community past the pandemic.
All right, thanks for your work.
Thank you.
Okay, happy to stay for your questions.
I wish I would satisfy curiosity. It's about 100 degrees outside right now. None of these units seem to have AC or anything. So how are these livable in the summer?
Well, people are in them in the evening hours. So this is a sleep center. People come in after, is it 6 p.m.?
Yes.
Come in after 6 p.m. So they're coming here in the cool in the evening. Perhaps the more interesting to me is in the winter time. And what I was explaining is that they stay about 30 degrees warmer than the outside air. So you're always above freezing, and people who are otherwise out in freezing conditions, you're much more comfortable. They also provide sleeping blankets and the like for people. So the word I'm getting is this is a quantum improvement over people living on the street. And in the conditions we have here, that's a good thing to get out of the elements.
You mentioned there are a lot of lessons you want to take to other places in the state. What are some of the main takeaways that you think you could apply to a place like Spokane or Seattle, these more urbanized areas?
Well, I think that one of the things, a crucial philosophy here is housing first. That means if we want people to deal with their chemical problems, if we want people to get vocational training and get back to work, it's much more successful if they have a roof over their head. So one of the secrets of this facility is to get people with a roof over their head first, then deal with all the other issues that they might have to deal with to get back on their feet permanently. So that housing first model, I think this demonstrates how it can be successful and is being embraced more and more across the state of Washington as a first step to people really changing their lives. And that's what we're asking.
And do you think that this kind of, the more privacy-oriented strategy is going to be an improvement on the traditional shelter system?
Yeah, listen, what we've learned is that a high percentage of people, not all, but a high percentage of people in this condition have some challenges in their life, chemical, vocational, behavioral health, whatever. And they are much more likely to get those services if they are in a private situation. Because when they go into a large gymnasium with people in cots, that lack of privacy is a huge barrier for us to get them services they need to get their life in order. So this is both good for them because people much prefer a private, small room than a non-private gymnasium, number one. So that's their preference. But it's a preference for us in the community too, because it's more successful helping them get what they need, which is help for behavioral health, chemical issues, vocational training. It serves everybody's purposes.
I don't want to hug this. You guys go ahead.
Governor, with the state now reopened, a number of smaller businesses in particular, but businesses in general, have expressed concerns that they just can't hire enough people. And it has been said that one of the obstacles in the way of that is the extended unemployment benefits that are paid out that were started as a result of the pandemic. Why didn't you terminate, or are you planning on terminating that earlier than, ending that program early, or why haven't you so far?
Well, look, it is an issue of getting folks back to some of these jobs. And it shouldn't be shocking to us that we're in a transition period. Look, people changed their lives for a year and a half. They had new child care arrangements, they had new domestic arrangements. And I think we are going through a transition to get people back into full-time employment. But I don't believe it's because of the unemployment system. We do not have more people on unemployment compensation today than we did before the COVID pandemic. The people on unemployment insurance are not the problem. We don't have more of them on that system than we did before COVID. So yes, there is a transition period we're going through, but I do not believe it's because we've helped families from starving to death. So we're not changing the unemployment system. It has kept people out of poverty. It has kept them in a position where they can buy products from small businesses. And now we got to help people through this transition. What I think we're experiencing is so many people changed their lives in their family life, how they dealt with child care, who they lived with, whether they have two people working in the family or one. And there's going to have to be a transition to a new normal. And we're in the middle of that transition. But I am just so excited about our economy coming back. Our economy is booming right now on a relative basis. People are coming back big time. I think we should be optimistic about our future.
In that vein, Governor, you mentioned earlier that some counties are experiencing spread of that.
Right.
Is there ever a point where you could see restrictions come back in targeted counties?
Well, everything is possible if this starts to explode again. But I think we should focus on getting people vaccinated right now. That's the solution to this problem. It's a 95% effective solution. And we just got to encourage people to seek medical advice, because when they do, they get vaccinated because they know it's safe. So we are encouraging physicians to talk to their patients, patients to talk to their physicians. Get the straight scoop. Because when people get the straight scoop and they find out it's incredibly effective, it's incredibly safe, and it not only protects you, it protects your whole family and your neighbor's kids so you don't infect them, they get the vaccine. And that is continuing to happen. We're up to 70% now. It continues to grow. But we want that statewide. Look, we've got some counties that are vaccine deserts right now. Right? They're in the 30-35% vaccination rate. That's dangerous because COVID will find you. And if you're not vaccinated right now, you have a target on your back. and COVID is looking for you. So we urge people to get vaccinated for their benefit and their families and the community. It's all counting.
You mentioned also that 30,000 extra people got vaccinated through the incentive program. Is there any intention to expand those incentive programs at all to get more people?
Well, I'm meeting the fellow who won $1 million, and I'm meeting him tomorrow in Olympia. I might ask him to contribute about half of that back to another pool, and we'll see if that happens. And the honest answer, no, we aren't considering another incentive program. We do think it was a benefit. We did end up with more people getting the vaccination than would have otherwise. But right now, medical advice is the most important for people to get. And the reason is people are getting so much misinformation on the internet. They're hearing that if you get the vaccine, you grow, deer antlers and a third arm. And we just got to get real information out to people. If they get vaccinated, we save lives, we keep our businesses in operation. That's what we should be doing.
One more question.
You mentioned growing pains with the opening economy, and one of the biggest growing pains we have in Spokane is related to housing. We're seeing rents go through the roof. Some people's rents are doubling.
Right.
Is there any point where you think maybe Washington needs to re-examine rent control?
Well, I think we got to build more housing. That's fundamentally how to solve this problem. Look, we need more housing. We got people moving into our state. We're a growing state. And the reason is because we have such a good economy, because people want to live here. We're such a great state, right? We've been listed as the best state to live in the United States 2 years in a row now. That's pretty unprecedented. And if we're going to have more people, we got to build more housing fundamentally. We talked to the mayor and the city council about some of the things they're doing to improve access to housing. That, I believe, is the ultimate answer to this problem.
So we got time for.
Sorry, would you consider canceling rent? Like California's considering?
Now at the table. Let's build more housing.
Sorry, we've got to wrap up.
Okay, thank you very much, you guys. Be well. Get vaccinated.
I feel we could have left it on and get all the conversations in the car.
Yes, you can.